Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and this is my channel all about the Enneagram. We are going to be looking at Type 8 today, and we're going to be looking at the blind spots of Type 8. So if you are a Type 8, thank you for joining me. And if you are maybe just investigating more about each type, or maybe you have a family member or a friend that is a Type 8 and you're trying to figure out more about them and more about why they do what they do, I hope this video is helpful to you. In the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, and you can book coaching appointments there if you're interested in something like that, and learning more about yourself, learning more about your type, or how to be a healthier you. And I'd love to hear from you. Thanks to my patrons. I really appreciate your support for this channel. And so let's get started. Today we're going to be looking at Beatrice Chestnut's book on leadership, and going to be looking at the points that she makes about the blind spots for Type 8, and thinking about those a little bit. Of course, 8s are very strong-minded people that are called the challengers. They are protectors. They're the focus of their attention may go to pushing the vulnerability within themselves away, and being strong and being in control of their environment and in control of their space. They may come across as very confident people, very bold, action-oriented people. Sometimes they might be a little more laid back, but 8s are known to be a strong type, okay? So that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's a good thing. I mean, we need strong people. We need people that are action-oriented, that are willing to take a risk and willing to step out and move to action. But there may be some blind spots that you may not see in yourselves that would be helpful for you to realize were there, because you might mitigate some of the problems that might result from some of those blind spots. In terms of how you relate to others, in terms of how other people interact with you, there may be some things that people see in you that you don't see in yourself, which ultimately is what a blind spot is. Other people may perceive you in ways that you're not aware of, or don't necessarily make sense to you. So let's look at these blind spots today, and let's talk about Type 8. Number one is your own vulnerability. Your own vulnerability can be a blind spot for you. You may deny those feelings because they feel uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable to be indecisive, for example. It feels like weakness. It feels uncomfortable to think about how you could be manipulated or victimized, or how others could get advantage of you or take advantage of you. And you may go blind, not want to see your own vulnerability. And all of us are vulnerable at times. All of us, when you're in a bus or you're in a plane, you're completely, your environment is being completely controlled by somebody else. And to deny your own vulnerability doesn't make it go away. 8s want to be truth and justice warriors. Well, the truth is that at times you are vulnerable. People can take advantage of you. People could hurt you. People could get the best of you. And how can you, on the one hand, say that you really care about the truth, while on the other hand denying the truth that at times you are vulnerable? And so I think it could be helpful for you to not ignore your weaknesses, but to acknowledge your weaknesses, and realize this, that your vulnerabilities, your let's say indecision, or your sense or feeling of helplessness at times, these are things that could actually draw people closer to you, that show everybody your humanness, that show everybody that you are, made of flesh and blood just like they are. And it may be something that feels repulsive to you, but other people might actually connect with you in more profound, more realistic ways when you let yourself demonstrate your softer side. Let's just say it that way. It makes you more approachable to others. So vulnerability can be a good thing. Of course, nobody wants to be somebody else's patsy or somebody else's, punching bag. I get that, but being vulnerable is not anything necessarily that you need to avoid 100% of the time. Okay. And remember, I have an 8 wing. It's my less dominant wing, but I go there at times. And of course I have an 8 daughter, and I was just thinking about so many characters that I love from movies and TV shows that are 8s. I was watching a movie a while back with Danny DeVito in it, and that little guy is an 8, you know. I mean, just watch any of his movies. I watched a movie with Denzel Washington a while back. I think it was maybe, I forget the name of it, but it's one of those get even movies. Like Charles Bronson is another 8. Those movies where, everybody is against you and you've been dealt a wrong hand, and so you're just going to get even, get the bad guys, the whole movie. I can't remember the name of that movie, but these guys are 8s, and you can see it by watching movies that they're in, the way they respond to life, the way they respond to things. I think Queen Latifah is another 8. All right, so let's look at the number 2, the value of slowing down and thinking things through. Okay, that can be a blind spot for 8s. 8s want to move to action. Action feels like power. Power feels better than indecision, helplessness. And so 8s may at times move to action a little too quickly without really thinking things through, without thinking about how, what will the results come from this action? What are the potential results? How could this affect other people? That isn't necessarily going to be the focus of their attention. The focus of their attention is going to be on, let's move, let's do something. Let's not sit around here and wait, helplessly for somebody else to act. Let's get the keys, let's go to the truck, let's go, let's move to action. And, this often makes you a leader among the people that you work with, because you're not afraid to take action. You're not afraid to move forward. Next is your impact on others. This could be another blind spot for 8s, their impact on others. 8s aren't necessarily focusing their attention on how their actions are going to impact others. Others may not be in their thoughts at all. It's just, I think it's more like, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go get what I want. I'm going to go make something happen. I'm going to go take this action and move this ball forward. And then later, they might realize that their actions have an effect on others. But others aren't necessarily the focus of the attention at the time. 8s may be unaware. It may be a blind spot for them to realize how their actions are affecting others, or how they're coming across to others. The focus of their attention might be on doing what they want to do, rather than on how will my actions impact and affect the people around me and the people that are close to me. Am I leaving people out, for example? Maybe you're moving forward in action because you don't want to sit there idly waiting for somebody else, and you may not realize that your action to move might be leaving other people behind. I was reading a book the other day, and it said that every 8 has that moment in their life when they kind of, whatever young age, when they just kind of said, screw it. I'm going to move forward. Screw it. I'm going to do what, and they didn't say it that way. They said it in a much more colorful way. But that moment where it was just kind of like, forget this. I'm not waiting on somebody else to march in here and show me what to do. I'm just going to step forward. I'm just going to take action. And if you're an 8, you probably can remember those times when you were a little kid or a toddler, when you just decided, I'm not waiting for mom and dad to say it's okay. I'm not waiting for, the other kids to, it's just, boom, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to step forward. Okay, so let's look at the next listed here. Next blind spot is, they may be blind to how much force is actually necessary to get the job done. 8s might compensate and use more force than is needed, or more volume than is needed, or more action than is needed in order to get the job done. Maybe the first impulse is to hit the gas, all the way, and squeeze a little too hard. And maybe you don't need to squeeze that hard. Maybe the softer touch might be all that is necessary. And really, that's a good move for an 8 to consider, the soft touch, the vulnerable soft touch, that sometimes the soft touch, can be far more effective in working with people than, putting the hammer down or putting the thumb down on somebody. You might think, well, they deserve it. They're incompetent. They deserve it. They need to be called out. They need to be challenged. Well, maybe the first question you might ask is, are you the one that needs to do that? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not. Maybe this isn't the right time to do that. Maybe this isn't the right environment to call them out. Maybe the soft touch could be more effective. Remember, an 8 has 2 wings, right? And those 2 wings tell you a lot about your blind spots. Those 2 wings, the 7 and the 9, really tell you as an 8 what would balance you as a person. The 7 would say things to you like, maybe there's a new way of doing this. Maybe you could lighten up. Maybe you could take a pie in the face and laugh at yourself. Maybe this isn't such a big deal. Maybe you don't need to take things so seriously. Maybe you could, act more like a child and less like a grown-up. The 9 would say things to you like, maybe this isn't your place to speak up. Maybe you don't need to say anything. Maybe you could relax. Maybe you could do nothing. Maybe nothing is a great solution. Maybe you could try to get somebody else's perspective. Maybe you just need to be peaceful and rest. Both of those wings really show you how powerful an 8 is, because they're both calling you to sort of, relax and calm down and lighten up, get a new perspective, get a different perspective, try things in a different way or a new way. Okay, so sometimes the soft touch is better, or you could say it this way. Just like the 7 has to learn that sometimes less is more, because 7s are gluttons. So sometimes 7s need to learn less is more. Sometimes with the 8, the less is more lesson might be less power is more powerful. Less volume might speak more loudly. So less action might make you more effective. And that isn't always true, but it's at least considering. If you're an 8, it's at least considering that truth, that maybe you come across to others so dominant, so powerful, so action-oriented, so strong-willed, that maybe if you could balance that a little bit and get a little softer and a little bit more reflective, cautious, thoughtful, slower, that people might start to see that and say, wow, this person really cares about this, because ordinarily they're just at volume 8, 9. They dropped to volume 2 when they talked about this subject. Maybe that balance would be a good thing. Okay? All right. Or maybe that lower volume might speak louder to people. That softer touch might communicate a stronger impact. It's interesting. Think about it. All right. This is the last one I think she's got. Yeah. The last one is a blind spot is how their impulse to protect others is about projecting their vulnerability onto others as a way of addressing it at a distance. Now, this is really interesting to think about. Is, as an 8, you don't necessarily want to think of yourself as helpless, weak, able to be taken advantage of. I get it. I understand. So, the 8 is a protector. And what she's saying is that sometimes you might look at other people as being weak and vulnerable and helpless, and I need to get bold and big and strong, and I need to protect those people, as a way of dealing with your own sense of fear, your own sense of dread, your own sense of anxiety. Like, you're the one that might actually be scared in any given situation, but you don't want to feel scared. So you say, oh, well, my kid is scared, and so I've got to, and it's not something that's conscious, it's something that, would be subconscious or unconscious to you, that you go into like this protective mode to protect this innocent child, or to protect this, unaware person that you're next to. But what is it that's really provoking that? Did they look at you and say, Mommy, I'm scared? Did they look at you and say, Mommy, please, or Daddy, I'm afraid? Or is this something within you, or did you become afraid? Did something in this environment spark that fear in you? But it's uncomfortable for you to think about you have that fear, so you project that fear onto your child or onto that other person. They're the one that's helpless, so I need to be bold, tough, and strong and be ready to fight back this potential threat in order to protect them. That's an interesting thought. Again, it's about being in touch with your own feelings, being in touch with your own vulnerability. Now, I think when 8s, are really healthy and balanced between their wings, I think you'll see 8s making you feel more courage, making you feel bolder and more powerful. Literally, they're empowering you. They're giving their power to you. You pick up their power, and they're saying things to you like, look, if you're not happy with this, you need to send it back. You need to go up there and you need to tell them, give them a piece of your mind. You need to go back into that work. You ought to tell your boss that you deserve a raise. And they're sharing their power and their action and their their strength with you. And I think strong 8s are doing that. They're not only just controlling their environment, but they're helping you get in control of your environment. They're helping you realize, you know what, you're right. I do have a right to show up fully to my own life. I do have a right to decide whether I want to work at, Uncle Billy's auto parts store or not. You're right. I do have a right to decide, what I want to do with my time and my schedule. Thank you, Mr. 8. Thank you, Mrs. 8, for reminding me to take responsibility for myself and for my environment. I think when 8s are healthy, they help all of us remember that we are individual people who need to show up fully to our own space, and don't be afraid to make our voice known and make our voice heard. I think when 8s are unhealthy, then they're just doing that themselves. They're just going overboard in showing you how powerful they are. I think when 8s are of low health or unhealthy, then they're just doing whatever it takes to make sure everybody knows that they're not going to be taken advantage of. And so they could be pushing and provoking when there's no need to push or provoke, but they need to feel strong. They need to feel powerful. And so, they're punching at straw men, punching at dummies. They might literally be punching at dummies, but punching at dummies, to make themselves feel puffed up and big and strong, because they may be trying to deal with their own feelings of inferiority, their own feelings of weakness, their own feelings of anxiety. And we all bring the very thing we're looking for, in our health. We bring it. So 8s are looking for this sense of power, control, and so that's what they bring. They bring that sense to the rest of us of that we can be in control, that we can have power in our own lives. All right, so 8s, you guys are awesome. You show us on the Enneagram, they show the rest of us that we need to show up fully and take responsibility for ourselves, that we need to be willing to push back those that might want to take advantage, that we need to protect and defend the powerless, that we can love altruistically without wanting anything in return. When 8s go to 2, you see them soften up and love without necessarily wanting attach any kinds of sense of worth or value to that. And 8s, thank you for who you are and for what you do. All right, so I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope it's been encouraging to you. And 8s, be present to life. And present to life means you show up fully, and showing up fully means you don't deny the truth. And the truth is all of us, are dependent on one another, and all of us could be taken advantage of, and all of us could be victimized, and all of us have real feelings. And being soft and gentle doesn't make you weak. Okay? Being soft and kind and even letting others sometimes get the best of you and turning the other cheek can be a very powerful move to make in life. All right, be present to life. See you guys next time.